Imagine waking up on election day in America. The air feels different. There's a buzz, a tension, a sense that history itself is waiting to be written. All across the country, from the small towns of Iowa to the busy streets of New York City, Americans are standing in line, clutching coffee cups, and proudly wearing "I voted" stickers, ready to make their voices heard. The presidency, the single most powerful office in the world, is up for grabs. But here's the twist. The process of electing a US president isn't as straightforward as just tallying votes. It's a long, winding, sometimes confusing journey that combines primaries, conventions, debates, and a quirky little system called the Electoral College. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today, simply, clearly, and in a way that finally makes sense. So grab your popcorn, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how Americans elect their president, why the system works the way it does, and maybe even impress your friends the next time politics comes up. The road to the White House begins long before November. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It all starts with the primaries and caucuses. Think of them as political tryouts. The US has two major parties, Democrats and Republicans. Each one has to pick a nominee to represent them in the presidential race. Primaries are like regular elections, where people vote for their favorite candidate. Caucuses, on the other hand, are more like community meetings where neighbors gather, debate, and literally group up to show support. Different states choose different methods, and the order matters. That's why you always hear about Iowa and New Hampshire. Iowa hosts the first caucus, and New Hampshire holds the first primary. These early contests are small in population, but huge in influence. A strong showing can give a candidate momentum and media buzz, while a poor performance can sink a campaign. Throughout the season, candidates collect delegates, basically points awarded based on their performance in each state. The more delegates, the closer they get to becoming their party's nominee. Democrats and Republicans set their own delegate rules, but the bottom line is simple. Win enough, and you lock in the nomination. Once primaries and caucuses wrap up, it's time for the national conventions. This is where each party officially selects its nominee. Think of it like the championship game of the tryouts. The convention is filled with speeches, party unity moments, and the big reveal of the vice presidential running mate. It's part political ceremony, part pep rally, and it sets the stage for the general election. Then comes the real showdown. The general election. From September to November, the nominees crisscross the nation, giving speeches, hosting rallies, and facing off in televised debates. These debates are major national events. Events millions watch them live, and a single line or gaffe can shift momentum. But here's where American democracy takes a twist. When people vote for president in November, they aren't technically voting directly for the candidate. They're voting for electors, people who make up the Electoral College. The Electoral College is a uniquely American system. Each state gets electors equal to its number of representatives in Congress, House plus Senate. That means big states like California have allowed 54, while smaller states like Wyoming only have 3. Altogether, there are 538 electoral votes, and the magic number to win is 270. Most states use a winner-to-call system. If you win the popular vote in Florida, you get all of Florida's electoral votes. Maine and Nebraska are the exceptions. They split theirs. This system makes swing states incredibly important. Florida, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, these states don't consistently lean blue or red, so candidates spend huge amounts of time and money there. If you live in a solidly Democratic state like Massachusetts, or a solidly Republican state like Alabama, you won't see nearly as many campaign ads. But in swing states, it feels non-stop. And here is the kicker. A candidate can actually win the national popular vote but still lose the presidency if they don't secure enough electoral votes. That's happened a handful of times. Most recently, in 2016, when Hillary Clinton received almost 3 million more votes nationwide than Donald Trump, but Trump won the Electoral College, and thus the White House. The same thing happened in 2000 with George W. Bush and Al Gore. Critics argue this system doesn't reflect the true will of the people. Supporters say it ensures less populated states still have a voice and forces candidates to build nationwide coalitions. instead of only appealing to big cities. Love it or hate it, this is the system America uses, and it shapes how campaigns are run. So, what actually happens after Election Day? In December, the chosen electors in each state meet and cast their official votes. Then in early January, Congress counts those votes. Finally, on January 20th inauguration day, the new president takes the oath of office and begins their 4-year term. Why so complicated? Well, the Founding Fathers designed it this way as a balance between the voice of the people and the power of the states. The US is not a single unitary nation, but a federation of states, each with its own identity. The presidential election reflects that. And the drawn-out process, primaries, debates, conventions, gives voters months to size up the candidates. By the time you cast your ballot, you've had plenty of chances to hear their policies, watch them debate, and judge how they handle pressure. Take 2020 as an example. After primaries and conventions, Joe Biden and Donald Trump went head. Biden won large states like California and New York, while Trump carried states like Texas and Alabama. The battlegrounds, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona decided the outcome. Biden crossed the 270 threshold with 306 electoral votes to Trump's 232. And despite heated controversy, the process played out, and power transferred as the Constitution outlines. Every election tells a story not just about who wins, but about what the American people value at that moment. Campaign slogans, policy debates, turnout numbers all reflect where the country is and where it hopes to go. That's why presidential elections are about more than picking a leader. They're about defining the nation's path. So, to put it all together, candidates compete in primaries and caucuses to secure their party's nomination. Conventions make it official and rally the base. Then, in the general election, the nominees battle it out across the country, focusing heavily on swing states. Americans vote in November, but the Electoral College ultimately decides, with 270 electoral votes needed to win. Congress certifies the results, and on January 20th, the president is sworn in. The system may seem messy, dramatic, even frustrating at times, but it has endured for more than 2 centuries. It's democracy with all its quirks, powered by millions of people who show up to have their voices heard. And when the balloons drop at the conventions, when the votes are tallied, and when the new president raises their hand to take the oath of office, you realize that despite all the noise and flaws, one truth remains. In America, the people through this winding process deal get the final say. That's how the US president is elected. But let me throw the question to you, do you think the Electoral College is the best system for choosing a president? Or should America switch to a simple popular vote instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this debate isn't going away anytime soon.